it is another twist to the Bollywood drug nexus. Kshitij Ravi Prasad, a film executive, has made some startling revelations against the NCB during the remand hearing. He, remember, was arrested last week by the Narcotics Control Bureau in a widening drug probe linked to Sushant Singh Rajput's death. He claims that he was harassed and blackmailed. His lawyer, Satish Manashinde, has told the Mumbai court on Sunday that he was forced to falsely implicate filmmaker Karan Johar and his other top executives. There are also details of how he was treated by the investigating officer. We will go across now to Saurabh Gupta for more on this. Saurabh, you've been tracking the details of this story. Several shocking aspects of this revelation. One, of course, was to falsely implicate Karan Johar, and the second being the manner in which he was treated while he was in custody.
Well, that's right. In fact, one of the things that we must straight away report is what the NCB or the Narcotics Control Bureau and the Anti-Drugs Agency has said. And they say that this is a textbook ploy of the accused to derail an investigation, and they say that they have been conducting a professional investigation. Now coming to the allegations that Kshitij Ravi Prasad, an executive producer, has made. He has said that firstly, when the NCB officials searched his home, they found a cigarette butt, but they insisted it was a ganja joint, and they also drew up a panchnama stating that, and the word believed to be a ganja joint was inserted when his wife insisted upon it. Then they said during the questioning, Kshitij Ravi Prasad said, Sameer Wankhede, who is a senior officer of the Narcotics Control Bureau, said that since he works with Dharma Protection, if he implicates Karan Johar and a set of other associates alleging that they consume drugs, he will be allowed to go. Kshitij Ravi Prasad goes on to say when he refused to comply, Sameer Wankhede got irked with him, and then of course put his shoe near his face and made him sit on the ground near his chair and said, "This is your aukat." That's the word he used. And then of course Kshitij Ravi Prasad admits that after hours of questioning, in desperation, he finally gave in and signed that statement which was prepared for him. And he only did it because that was the only way the NCB officers would allow him to speak to his lawyer or his family.
Well, these are extremely interesting details, and what you're essentially telling us is that there was one cigarette butt that was found. At least that is what his lawyer is claiming. On what basis then, has the NCB arrested him?
Well, the NCB's charge against Kshitij Ravi Prasad, and again this is from the remand application based on a document that the NCB has submitted to the court, is that he was a part of a drug cartel, that there were transactions that they believe is for the purchase and sale of drugs, and that this is of course something that actually invites the application of section 27A, which is, remember, the same strong segment section that has been applied on Riya Chakraborty as well. But tomorrow, it's important to note this, tomorrow is the bail plea hearing of Riya Chakraborty in the Bombay High Court, 29th of September. And the application of section 27A in cases like this is something that the Bombay High Court will also consider while hearing the bail plea of Riya Chakraborty. So whether the NCB is right in applying this section or not will be clear once that bail hearing is over.
All right, Saurabh, appreciate you for joining us with all those details. So some very interesting information that's actually coming out, and that affidavit that has been filed before the magistrate when the remand hearing actually took place reveals some shocking details, not just in about the fact that Kshitij Ravi Prasad was asked to falsely implicate Karan Johar, but also about how he was treated, allegedly forced to sign papers so that he could speak with his lawyers or his family. We have D. Banerjee, former Central Bureau of Narcotics, joining us on the broadcast. Ashwini Dubey, political analyst and advocate of the Supreme Court. His views lean towards the BJP. We also have Mrinalini Deshmukh, lawyer of the Bombay High Court. Mrinalini Deshmukh, I want to begin by asking you, a lot has been said about 27A being applied. And that's, of course, financing drug cartels, being a part of larger drug cartels, etc. I want to understand from you, what do you make of this statement that Satish Manashinde, who is Kshitij Ravi Prasad's lawyer, what do you make of the statement that they have, in fact, made before the magistrate at that remand hearing? Because the revelations are quite shocking. How does this impact his case?
So at the outset, as a lawyer, I would surely not like to go by what the remand application says, and also would not like to implicate any of these things. The point that is very important is that these are legal procedures, and we need to understand that these legal procedures have to be followed. The NCB is doing their own job of investigating. Probably their mandate or their orders from their superiors are to get to the drug cartel, maybe right, wrong. I'm not going to be sitting in judgment on that. However, the contention of Kshitij, that is, that he was asked to implicate Karan Johar in this, is also at this stage, and I'm saying as a lawyer, at this stage, a contention or an averment or an allegation made by him only to show that these are the pressure tactics which are being used by the agency. Okay. So I'm not going to talk anything in favor of the agency, nor am I going to talk anything in favor of that. This will have to be tested in a court of law whenever it comes, and that is when the courts will decide whether the statement made on an affidavit by the so-called accused about the manner in which the inquiry was conducted, as Saurabh had just told us before we got into this discussion, or whether because even the other side will have to give their say. So I think it's a little too premature for us as discussing this, because it is improper and too premature in my view.
Okay, so I think that's important legal perspective, that at the moment this is just an affidavit that's been put out. This is one side of the story. The Narcotics Control Bureau, of course, when all of this is heard, will be putting out its own side of the story as well. So as far as the legal case goes, it doesn't so far dent anything. But Mr. Banerjee, as a former officer of the Central Bureau of Narcotics, I want to understand from you. There are some very serious allegations that are being made against the drug agency, the anti-drug agency. There have been accusations of bias, that have been leveled. There are also accusations that the NCB is in fact, probing end users, celebrities, and not really going after the big guns.
They'll go after the big guns only after they get proper information, proper input from the consumers or the peddlers. Okay. Then only they can go after the big traffickers. I believe NCB must be having something, and by which they think they may be successful, they may be able to catch some big traffickers.
So you're saying that this probe, or rather this investigation, top stars being summoned, questioned, even arrested, is key to unearthing perhaps the larger nexus. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that is. I think it is.
Okay.
It is possible. Yeah.
Okay, but what about the conduct? The conduct of the agency here, is being questioned. They are saying that Section 27A, you're perhaps better versed with it than I am, is only imposed in cases of drug cartels or, financial transactions with bigger drug cartels. What do you make of this section being imposed as far as Riya Chakrabarti is concerned, and now even Kshitij Ravi Prasad?
So far, they have only recovered very small quantity, which for consumption. This they will have to prove. I believe that they are just consumers who have taken the drugs from some peddlers and all that. So after this questioning is over, perhaps they might go after the bigger peddlers, and then thereafter they might be able to go after some big fish. Right now it is very difficult to say where actually it is headed. But surely the investigators must be believing that they'll be able to get some big thing.
Is the imposition of Section 27A therefore overreach or exaggeration? I think that is the other big question that one really needs to ask. Do stay on with us, Mr. Banerjee, because there are several other questions that we will come to you with. Ashwini Dubey, how do you react to this entire 27A being applied? The fact that there is a Bollywood executive in question who has come out and said that, he is being forced to name certain individuals, to name Karan Johar. Doesn't this all in a certain sense reek of a frame-up?
See, NCB is conducting investigation in a very professional manner. If you see the Section 27 of the NDPS Act, that is punishment for financing illicit traffic and harboring offenders. this section has been applied against Kshitij Prasad on the basis of the allegations leveled by the Sanket Patel, who was a drug peddler. What Sanket Patel said and what the NCB said, that he delivered ganja around 12 times to Kshitij Prasad from May 2020 to July 2020, and Prasad made a payment of rupees 3,500 each time. So 27A clearly says punishment for financing illicit traffic and harboring offenders. So section 27 is applied now. Now come to the other part. Who has to see whether the conduct of the investigating agency is right or wrong? That has to be looked into by the court. Now in the bail application, the court has to only see what, as per the practice, that whether the ingredients which has been applied in the FIR, first information report, under section 154 is correctly applied or not. We are not here to say. Once the investigation is investigator is investigating the drug angle and the murder angle. The Sushant Singh Rajput's case is being investigated. It is not that they are investigating it like any Bollywood druggists. They are investigating whether all the drug peddlers from one to the other have conspired in the murder or the abetment of suicide of the late actor or not. This is being investigated.
Exactly my point, which is why you're saying that the drug peddler has alleged that he has delivered drugs to Kshitij Prasad. You're talking about 2 transactions of 3,500 rupees. We are talking about 59 grams of marijuana in case of Riya Chakrabarti, which is exactly why one is asking whether this drug investigation is serious or genuine, or is it all just a frame up? Mrinalini Deshmukh, as a lawyer, when you hear of these quantities or these numbers in terms of, you know, the money that is involved here or the quantities of drugs that is involved here, you know, do you feel that this is a mockery of an investigation? Are we really investigating drug cartels, or are we targeting selected individuals?
So I would like to say it. I mean, what you earlier said, that this all started with the death of Sushant Singh Rajput,
yes.
And what was the cause of it? I think somewhere down the line everybody has forgotten about it, is my honest opinion. And we are there is a combination of a witch hunt, and there is a combination of probably giving them, the authorities, the benefit of doubt that they want to have the cleansing of the entire system, maybe the Bollywood at this point of time. But that's besides the point. That is not the issue here. The issue here is that what we have to keep in mind is that who will decide whether what the investigating authorities are saying is the truth, or whether what the accused is saying is the truth. Because as a judge, he or she will be faced with both these things. See, taking the circumstances, taking the facts, taking the witnesses, taking the evidence which is there, it is only then when the court is going to decide whether what is the truth of the entire substance. So, but I think the larger question that you are asking for is, and which I think is a very valid question, and which has been going on for the last 3 months. What happened to Sushant Singh's death? Was it murder? Was it suicide? Was it abetment to suicide? That all is just, and the CBI is nowhere on the scene now, as I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong. It is only the NCB which is gunning all these people.
Yes.
But obviously they are trying to find some link. And the link is to show whether there was any consumption by the deceased in that point of time, and whether there was somebody else who was a conduit, who was responsible for giving those drugs to the person. But I don't know how they're going to arrive at any of these things as a lawyer. If I look at it, it's all over the place. If I may put it in very simple words, it's all over the place. We do not know what the authorities really want to do it, whether it's the NCB or
that's very interesting. You know, as far as a lawyer is concerned, as somebody who studies and examines evidence, you're suggesting that it is really currently all over the place. Mr. Banerjee, I'd like to give you the last word. You know, are mere electronic chats, WhatsApp messages, some dating back several years, you know, is all of that going to be admissible by itself? You know, so far we've had legal experts in the broadcast several times who say that it needs to be corroborated with hard evidence. Is there hard evidence here? Is it just, you know, is it just very small quantities, small amounts of money that one is talking about to perhaps divert from the larger issue?
I would say, look, the investigators are also human beings. They will not go out of their way to beat up and all these things, okay? What I believe is that there must be something. You just cannot divulge the investigation to everyone, isn't it? It has to be kept secret till you can only produce in court. I don't understand how everybody is talking about it while the investigation is leading. It is too premature to say where it will lead to. But I can tell you this much. I believe that perhaps the investigators may be having some hard evidence which they do not want to divulge right now.